it a give it a couple minutes for people to see it and join on.
Awesome. All right.
So yeah, so very excited. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join PitchGround and speak with the community and just kind of share your story. It's always good to see the face behind the software. Everybody looks at the software, but no one takes the time to really learn about the founders, the passion behind it. And so here at PitchGround, we try to do that and bring that face to the community and the face behind it and the story behind it. So
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here and a little nervous to do the pitch. Haven't done one in a while. Uh, the product's sold itself for a long time, so we'll see how I do.
absolutely, it's just a lot of fun. It's we won't have a major contest over it or anything like that. So let me see here. So I think we're good. Looks like people are starting to join. Hey, everybody. Give us just a second. We'll get started here. All right. Hey, guys. Hey, everybody. So it's probably good. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to another SaaS founder interview. And today we have a very exciting guest. We actually have Sujan Patel with us, and he is the co-founder of MailShake. You actually have a couple products more than MailShake, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. Yeah, we've got a couple. So Ramp Ventures is kind of our parent company. We have Mailshake is our probably a more our biggest one, our most famous or more most used or talked about. We also have another company called Voila Norbert, Pick, and a handful more. So I can go on for a while. It's a big list.
Right on. So now, but you're a marketer on top of that, so you're just not like focused on that, right?
Yeah, so I mean, my background's in marketing. That was I've worked with a lot of SaaS companies in my career. We also have an agency kind of on the side as well.
Okay.
That we do actually kind of started with that, and I've helped so many different SaaS companies. I'm like, I really want to build one myself. Well, I've helped many different types of business models,
Hmm.
and SaaS is my favorite because recurring revenue, high margins, well, high low cogs, not always high margins, but we can get into that later. My value add to most companies is I can help them market. Um, and I learned lots of times how marketing cannot do anything if you have a shitty product. And so I got better at building not a shitty product, and then building good products and building a team and all the other stuff coming around that, building a company.
So, and that's a great point. Rule number one: don't build a shitty product.
Well, the hard part is you don't know you have a shitty product, right? And so it's not just, I would say, product market fit is one part
Hmm.
of it, but the other harder part is like, how, like, what's the happiness of people using this, right? Like, I don't know about you, but I use a few products and I absolutely hate them, but I have to use them, right? Like, it's just
Hmm.
there's no alternative or no better way. But I don't tell my friends about that. And I found that same thing with Mailshake is we were building the product and we were really late to the game and we actually pivoted into it. We found a lot of competitors. We did a research on a lot of our competitors and people hated using it. Like not like the buyer, but the
Hmm.
end user, like the salesperson, the marketer, whatever. They're like, yeah, I use this tool. There's nothing better out there. Um, I don't love it, but it does the job. And then this is like public information on like the reviews.
Hmm.
Um, and so uh, we're like, okay, that's a problem. You can't hate what you do, the thing you use every day. And so we built the exact opposite of what everyone complained about. That was
Right on.
Mailshake 1.0.
Right on. Cool. Yeah, and that's so important too for founders as far as take that feedback in and utilize it, make it to where, people, basically, yeah, just the opposite. But that feedback is so important because at the end of the day, that's your brand ambassadors, that's your users, that's your your incoming revenue.
Yep, exactly.
So how did you start off? So you were a marketer first and then you started helping SaaS company. How did you get in the SaaS industry as even for like marketing then?
Um, the what I did was I've tried to get into the space. What you see is the tip of the iceberg. What you don't see is I've been trying to get in the space for 9 years,
Okay.
uh, and so um, I've been trying since 2010 roughly. We started with a couple of different projects, SEO tools specifically. So I'm a marketer, but my core background's in SEO, and then kind of evolved into more of a T-shaped marketer. So we were building, SEO like tools for SEOs and things like that for building links and doing technical analysis and whatever. We use them internally. We try to sell them to customers, and failed miserably because our UX sucked. And so I learned time and time and time again, UX, usability, time to first value, first time experience. These are all kind of buzzwords, but they're so simple concept, but there's such, most people miss this. And so this is what we focused on.
Right on.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. As far as like, it's kind of interesting as far as like to know where, how, where you started out as far as, I mean, did you first get in, or like, do you have like a development background at all, or?
No, no. So I have know nothing about development. I know a little bit more. I knew nothing, next to
Mhm.
nothing. And so that was actually one of the catalysts for us. Is so 2010 version of what we were doing. I hired contract developers. I would be the vision of the product, and so I have no experience. I had no experience in product management either. So there's what building for the customer, the problem you're trying to solve. Then there's articulating that. Then there's defining the product and how it's going to work, and then that's giving it to a dev. So it took me until about 2013, 2014 to really realize I don't have a development problem. I have a product problem, a lack of skill in that. So I'm more on that later. But long story short, hired contract devs and full-time employees that are devs, and I would work with them. They would build stuff that I would exactly tell them to build, which is not exactly what the customer needs, right? So um, it failed. I couldn't figure out why things failed. Maybe it was devs, and I just kept swapping them out or trying to figure out what it was. And then my second go at this would be in 2015 when I found my co-founder. So I was like, you know what? I can't work with contractors. I need developers as my co-founder. So I cold emailed Colin Matthews, which is our co-founder at MailShake, and I was like, hey, he built some idea related to MailShake as like a really rudimentary, kind of really early stage thing. And I was like, hey, this is a cool, like, I love what you did here. I'm a marketer, you're a dev. We should partner up. I've got a better idea. It could
Right
use some of the things you've already built. I'll fund it. And so that's kind of how it came to be. And so because I have a bunch of companies now, or the reason I have a bunch of companies right now is like, I was starving for a development co-founder. And so I alongside building MailShake, we also started this other company with another dev as a partner named Narrow.io. And we're like, you know what? Hey, it increased their chances of success, right? Like, I'm going to just throw two things at the wall and see what sticks. Turns out both things worked. MailShake took a lot longer to get there.
on.
We had a lot of product market fit issues. Narrow just started working. It's still around. It still makes money. It's still growing, not as rapidly. And Narrow.io is in the Twitter hemisphere. It helps you build your following and kind of engagement and whatnot. But MailShake originally started as an idea called contentmarketer.io. And that was a content marketing tool to help promote content for marketers. And again, I had the need for myself. I validated that with my peers, other content marketers. And I was like, here's what I'm building with this. Does this make sense? That everyone's like, hell yeah, it's great. This is awesome. I need this. Well, tool worked just fine. UX was okay. It was pretty good. But here's the one flaw that I didn't think of. Well, in order to promote content and in order to promote content, what the tool allowed you to do is reach out on Twitter and reach out on email. So the kind of base email outreach of what's MailShake today. But here's the one problem I didn't think about. You have to have good content to promote it,
Mhm.
to promote. So if you have crappy content, you're going to get bad results. And guess what? Most content people create is crappy. No offense. The bar has risen, so that the quality guidelines have gotten higher, and people are just kind of creating content. And so there's a gap between that. Now, I went for a long time teach people. We launched a course, did marketing services to teach people how to do and create better content. But that was really a problem. Meanwhile, people were like, hey, I love. We were like, let's go launch these micro products. We spun off all these little features from our tool, from our main Content Marketer IO product, and launched them as micro products on their own. One was called Connector, which is pretty much MailShake beta or alpha. And that was just the email outreach part. And people loved it. Within like a month or two, within a month, usage surpassed our main product. And then within 3 months, revenue surpassed our main product. So like, wow, we actually have something here. Let's just dump this old stuff and then launch. And we were going to rebrand as well, because turns out most of the people who use Connector, which is the thing at the time, aren't content marketers. They're salespeople, marketing people, PR. And so they're everything but content marketers. So the name was just the exact opposite what it needed to be. We got a trademark issue when we launched. Well, we were about to launch Connector. Somebody else beat us to the punch in trademarking it. So we're like, okay. And somebody else was Microsoft. So we're not going to win that one. And they just, they have a bunch of trademarks and random stuff. So like, okay, that's not going to work. So I don't know, weekend got drunk and came up with as many ideas as I could. And MailShake was one. So bought the domain. Yeah.
Nice. Is that one of those at the bar, you got the little bar napkins, you just start writing stuff down, or?
Yeah, I mean, I've got a history of coming up with names. So my first company, Single Grain marketing agency, that was my first company, first exit, and inside of it, we launched a bunch of stuff. But anyways, my first I came up with that name eating chicken nuggets at my mom's house. She runs a daycare, and so I was there. She buys a bunch of food for the kids, and there was one box that said now made with, like, it was a Gerber baby food box that says now made with single grain.
Right on.
And I was like, oh, that's a cool name. So I did that same thing. I was like, I went to my mom's house, chicken nuggets, didn't work. Went to the bar, didn't work. And I just like kept writing stuff down and writing stuff down and then looking for the domain and doing back and forth. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was the idea.
Absolutely love it. Absolutely. That's an awesome story though. But no, the name's absolutely great for sure. Without question. So let me ask you, as far as so from a non-development background, what would you say was the biggest hurdle you faced trying to break into the SaaS world essentially and deal with people with the development backgrounds?
Yeah. So biggest thing is being able to communicate with developers efficiently. So devs just think, act, function differently than non-devs or than non-technical people. They're more programmatic, and I'm generalizing this. Not everybody's this way, but I think the big thing is, can your dev take what you need, which is the problem, and come up with the solution? So again, 2010 version of me, I came to a dev and said, build this. This is my problem. This is the solution. Build this. 2015 me with Colin, like, hey, here's the problem. Here's what I think can solve this. Colin's like, hold on, let me think about this. And he's like, okay, based off everything you said, here's what I think should work. So, and it was just mock-ups. It wasn't actual functional things. It was just a mock-up. So what I would recommend is when you're working with the dev, you guys come together to think about and create mock-ups and flows that would work. So I got lucky with Colin because he's a front-end dev. He knows, he's really good at UX and he's good at product. And so we built a bunch of things and mock-ups on InVision, and I criticized them and we gave feedback. And so before we had to go and build any actual functionality, we polished the UX pretty well. And we were able to do that really cheap because we only needed a designer, myself and him. And our designer was a really good friend of Colin's, and he hooked us up and on the friend pricing and whatnot. And so he loved the project. And so he just kept working on it. But anyways, my point is, dev and non-dev. So let's say that it's me and Colin or me and a dev. That's not enough. You need product, you need design, you need UX in between. And again, you need to go from problem to solution. And that's, in my opinion, the way to go about it. And somewhere in there, you need to validate, right? So we didn't really need to validate because the market validated it for us. We weren't building Google. We weren't building autonomous cars for $1 million a car. We were building something that we knew there was a problem and a gap.
Mhm.
Um, and there was an industry for. So we got lucky on the product market fit side of things this time around. And again, we had Content Marketer IO pivoting over, so we had traction coming in. So that was kind of my key learnings, is that you need something in between dev and problem.
Ground. Yeah, I absolutely agree. There is kind of a thought difference as far as like my background's mostly in sales, so I'm kind of like I want it now, 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 now.
Yeah,
Where it seems like the development side, it's like, okay, fine, hold on, give us time on this, and and it takes time, and for me personally, it just took time to kind of get used to that. As far as like that whole having to wait, it taught me patience, a lot of patience, as well. But yeah, I absolutely agree. It's a completely different thought process for most people deal with. But yeah, thank you for that answer, because there's a lot. That's one thing that comes up a lot, I notice, as far as people with non-development backgrounds are really interested in getting started with SaaS, but they don't know how to start. They don't know where to really get started at. So
yeah. And to me, I didn't know both of these ideas, Narrow and Mailshake or Content Marketer at the time, to me weren't big ideas. They were just like, let's do something. So my wife was getting her MBA at the time at USC, and I had moved to Minnesota to join as a head of marketing at this company called wheniwork.com. And so at this company, I was learning and improving my weaknesses, which is product development and all the things I already mentioned, and also how the heck to run and operate a SaaS business. So I was getting my kind of version of MBA, and so I was like, let me take it to another gear. I had sold my company, so I was like, let me take all the salary I make. I didn't need money for a couple of years. So let me take all the money I make and just dump it into something productive. So as a family would make zero money. That's a stupid idea, but I made it work. Anyways, my point is, I just went and executed because I was like, I'm not going to learn by talking about it, reading about it. I'm going to learn by doing it. So my advice for people who don't have that background, again, it took me 9 years to figure. It took me 5 years from 2010 to 2015 to actually get a product, being able to get something out the door. And don't forget that 2015 to 2017 to actually get product market fit, and 2017 to 2019 to get the company to break even, be profitable, get a salary and stuff like that. So long journey, right? Even though the company is doing well, growing, I didn't really start making positive ROI on it out of my personal investment, not including time, until about a few months ago. So it is a long haul. Be prepared for that. But that's beyond my point. My point is, go to Startup Weekend. Go build skunkwork projects. Go to dev like hackathons, and go just like talk to people that are building cool shit, and jump on their idea or offer to help work on stuff for free. Be an intern at a tech startup. Go learn to code. Like so at Mailshake, we have Colin, who's our CTO, really a technical co-founder. At Round Ventures, my other partner is ex-VC, so finance background, and that front. He learned to code. He went to code academies and like spent hours just learning about development and the latest technologies. Now he's not a technical person. I mean, he's not our CTO. But he's learned through that process how to manage and work with developers. And so, if you don't know how to do it, spend 6 months and learn to code through a professional training program. If you can't spend the money, go do it online for free, right? I like the program version, the school version, because it forces you to interact with everybody, and it forces you to take it seriously.
great advice. Absolutely great advice.
Like, I would do that if I had started over. I would do that from day one.
That was going to be one of my questions. If you had to start everything over and just start today, what different things would you do differently?
Yeah. So I think first and foremost, I realized through this whole process is I'm really freaking good at executing. I know how to push comes to shove. I can figure out how to make things work, or they go and die. It's okay. one or the other. It's either a one or a zero. It works and it's growing, or it doesn't and it dies. But I would have spent more time understanding the market, the total addressable market, the TAM, understanding the economics of the business, and what is it called? Just really making sure the business side is the best, and then executing on the best idea, or making it, even if there's the starting of the idea is not the where you want to go. It's like getting the where do you start, and then where do you go. It took us a while to like figure that out, and it could have been like maybe 2 days of research to really start in a better way. So yeah, just more research in the market, and making sure the market is big enough for a big product. At Round Ventures, we buy a lot of SaaS companies. So of the 8 that we have, we've bought 6. And we talk to founders, unfortunately, all the time. It's like, hey, like they ran out of skill on how to grow it, or like it's just not big enough for them to like ever make enough money to like be worth their time, right? Of where they're at. So that happens. It happens too often. So
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately. Well, let me ask as far as like, how'd you get your first client?
yeah. So at MailShake,
Yeah.
yeah. So we started pre-selling. So we got around our first like 50 customers within like a couple a day or so. Within the first week, we got 100 customers. It was really straightforward. So it's straightforward now. Hindsight's always 2020, right? Or what I've learned from my optometrist, actually it's 29. That's the absolute best. 29 or 28 is the best vision a human being can have. So there's better than 2020. So you got to raise the bar now, right?
Right, exactly.
So anyways, my point is the what is it called? Sorry, I got off track. What's the question again?
How'd you get your very first client? So
very first customer, pre-marketing, pre-launch marketing, and we pre-sold the product. So started the idea, came up with the idea in February 2015, launched the actual product in about July. So within those 4 or 5 months, what we did was I started a blog. I had a homepage. I used like LaunchRock or something like that. And it just said like, we're going to solve content marketing, something better than that, but like content marketing solved. And it was like sign up for updates. And the updates every week, we would publish a blog post or two. Every time we publish a blog post, it sent to that list. We built about 3,000 people on that list over the course of the time. We built a blog. I pushed it very hard. And by the time we're ready to sell, and every month we would give an update like, hey, here's what we've done. So we got people invested into our story, and we're going to launch in the summer. And then to those 3,000 people that we had, we gave them 90% off. So it was charging $50. We charged them $5, and $5 was enough for people just like, yeah, fuck, F it, I'll pay, right? And so we got a lot of customers that way. And then we quickly turned that off, and then got our regular customers. And so those, I'm not counting those $5 a month customers as our 100 customers, by the way. Those customers were the catalyst to spread the word about the actual product. And so that was how we got our first 100 customers. And I would suggest anybody, and I have a presentation on this, just go to SlideShare and type in 0 to 1 million Sujan Patel, and you'll find like my slide deck on like pre-launch marketing, kind of post-launch marketing, and then I call big boy marketing. Kind of outlines like the 0 to 1 million in ARR path with very, very little money, aka $0.
Right on. I'll definitely check that out for sure. And as far as like, so, all right. So with MailShake now, were you doing cold emailing before? Like,
yeah, so I've done a lot of cold emailing, but not specifically for sales. We did a lot of link building. So at my agency, Single Grain, and through the years, I've done probably 10 million emails or more, just trying to get links. And so I know a lot about the copy, the right. And what I've realized is like, it's the purpose. It could be sales. It could be recruiting people to a conference, whatever it may be. People like, this was a cold email, right?
Hmm.
The purpose could change, but the principles kind of remain the same. And so that was a good leg up um, in terms of helping us build the software.
Right. And what if somebody's just now starting, they want to get started in cold emailing? What are some like helpful tips that tips that you can give them? And just so everybody knows, do you guys still have that academy, right? The
Yeah,
outreach academy.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. So we have what's called the master class, and it's the MailShake masterclass. Just Google it, or you go to mailshake.com/masterclass, and we have the Cold Email Academy or the Sales Academy. The academy is more like videos and like step by step on the technical aspect of like how to get it going, and there's guidelines and whatnot. The master class is it's also about how to get it going, but it's more about the copy and the mindset and how you like the academy is the what to do. The masterclass is how you go about doing it, and both are important. Both are completely free, so like no pressure there. And ultimately, I think check out chapter 2 on or section 2 and chapter 1 on the masterclass. It goes through the different copywriting frameworks. So pretty much my advice is keep your emails short and sweet. Don't make them about you. Bad email copy is ultimately the catalyst to everything else not working. So or everything positive note, everything working extremely well. So I would recommend keeping your email short. And lastly, I would say call to actions, keep them simple. I can't tell you how many people like over like complicate the ask or they ask for too many things. It's like you got one email, one thing you're asking people to do, and you maybe have a sentence or two in between the starting of the email and the last, the ask itself to explain why they should do it.
Right on. What would you suggest as far as, and I'm sure this is probably covered in your course, obviously, but as far as like how many lines, et cetera, for sentences in a email structure, in a cold email structure?
Yeah. So try to keep your emails as scannable as possible. That means you're going to want to use like maybe 1 to 2 sentences per paragraph and then a break. And if you can, use bullet points or numbered lists to describe anything that's complex. Why? Because you don't need to have proper punctuation. It's just keeps everything shorter. And again, like if people take there's studies, we haven't done them. We've watched the results of eye test studies that when you get an email that's like a paragraph versus like bullet points. This is my way of kind of describing it. People just get to the end of that email and absorb the information faster, right? So again, keep it super short. I would say 3 to 5 sentences is a good amount. So you need to in that email address their problem. My favorite way to get their attention. My favorite way to do that is ask a question. Like, hey, for example, I just signed up for this proposal software. They asked me the question, what do you use? What are you doing now to send proposals? I'm like, oh. Then it just reminds me, I'm doing this. In my head, I'm like, I'm doing this. I really hate it. It's pretty shitty. Like I'm just going down. I'm selling myself, right?
Right.
In my head. And obviously you can't get that in depth because I'm opting in for this software. You can't get that in depth in a cold email, but you can ask the question that is the pain point people have. Like, are you tired of sending? Are you tired of sending proposals and not knowing what happens? Like, you want to increase your close rate? All you have to do is use the software, and here's how it's going to help you. Blah 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 blah. Can we jump on a phone to talk? Right? I just happen to have like the screen on a proposal signing up in the background. So this is kind of me little shortcut here or cheat sheet. But yeah.
Right on. And what about subject lines?
Um, Short, sweet. Again, a question works really, really well. People have used quick question. Um, those types of things work well. So Backlinko did a study that says long subject lines work the best. And they analyzed like 10 million emails, 12 million emails,
Really?
something like that. From our data analysis of 130 million emails now, shorter subject lines work better. Now, that's from our customers, our data.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably a raw study, meaning like we haven't looked at context, purpose, all the other elements that we would probably take into consideration. But things, I would say anything less than 5 words has had a 30% increase in open rates. So short, sweet questions are really good.
Right on, right on. And what advice would you give to someone that's if they try it one time and they don't see a result, it's their first time doing it and they just kind of feel like, hey, look, this sucks, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Cold emailing, nobody's really doing it. I don't believe them, etc. What would you say to those people?
Yeah, I mean, look, it does work. I think you usually have when it doesn't, you either offering is too well. I guess you got to figure out where the problem lies, right? That's the first point. Did you not get open rates? Did you just not get any opens on your emails, right? Is that the problem? Is the problem that people opened it and like they didn't really reply? Because that's a different problem to solve, right? If they didn't open it, it's a subject line problem. It's a preview text problem. If they opened it and they didn't reply, maybe your call to action sucks. Maybe your messaging sucks. You kind of have to rewrite it. And if that's the problem, I would go hire a copywriter. Go to Upwork, and we've got a lot of customers on Upwork that we have a lot of Upworkers that are our customers, and they do this as a service for clients. So we're used by many like kind of freelancers, and just just Google, go into Upwork and search for MailShake freelancer, and you'll find lots of copywriters and whatnot. Hire one of those folks, have them write your copy. It might cost you somewhere between $100 to $500 if you go to Upwork. And now you have a little bit more successful campaign. The other thing is, like, most people, and we do campaign reviews at MailShake, so it's completely free. I'm not trying to sell MailShake here, but we talk to like probably 200 customers a month. We've been doing this for the last 2 years, so we've got a lot of customer qualitative feedback. And I've looked at all these campaigns, and the biggest thing is people just don't follow up aggressively enough. Like, follow up at least 5 times. 3 is the minimum, like, you to be effective. 5 is probably the most appropriate without being annoying. Now, if you just want results, follow up until they tell you no, right? Keep changing the way you follow up. And I can tell you, I signed up for this a quote to get life insurance recently. So I had a baby. I was like, I need life insurance. I'm going to die one day. My baby needs stuff, right? Typical parent logic. So I signed up for life insurance, and I fill out this form, and then I ended up going with another company. But this other company that I signed up with, it offered a better price or something that kind of got me interested in the beginning. They continue to follow up with me. It's been 2 months since I signed up. I've got probably 300 calls from them, 2 a day, 2 different numbers. One is a 650 number, and I intentionally don't block them. And then they don't hear from me. They send me a text every week. And then when they don't hear from me from that, they send me an email. And then they haven't got me on social media just yet, because that might be a little creepy for the life insurance space, right? But ultimately, what I'm saying here is, like, 300 freaking phone calls. At some point, I'm going to pick up the phone because I'm tired of hearing from them, right? And I might not be happy. I'm not saying that's going to get you results. I'm just saying that somewhere out there today, there's a guy from a company calling somebody 300 freaking times to get a deal, right? So, there's just somebody working their butt off, right? And it could work.
Right. And it's all in the follow-ups. It's we all love the one-time, one call, one close things, but the follow-ups are really where the majority of the sales are going to come from.
Yeah, my theory is it's the 5 whys, right? You kind of like to get to the core of any problem, you ask why, and you answer it, and why. At the 5th why, you've got the really the core, most likely really the core of the problem. It's the 5 no's. You're going to get no. Okay, maybe, right? Like, it just happens. That's why statistically the 6th email is the one that usually gets the stragglers that would, say yes.
Right on. And what about like domain structure? Is there like a secret to like, say like a subdomain versus the main domain? I mean, the architecture, if you will, as far as when it comes to mass sendings like that.
Yeah. So big thing, it's less important about the domain. It's more important about the warming up of the email. And making sure you're a new company, new domain, new email address, you're going to get in the spam filter from day one. You just haven't used the email enough. Like, you have no reputation. So there's a sender reputation that's assigned, and we're going to get in the weeds here, but it's assigned by all the different, like, Gmail has it, like Outlook has it. If you email people who have Microsoft Exchange, which is kind of hosting your own Outlook, they have it and everyone has their own different filters. If you have zero reputation, you don't get anywhere far and they'll just shut you off. Now, then there's Gmail. If you're using it, they will enforce shutting you off too. So long story short, warm up your email. Start with a couple emails a day. Email your friends, their network, blah, blah, blah. Get that, maybe send 20, 30 emails. Look at the response rate, look at the open rate, and then kind of scale up over the course of like maybe 2-3 months. That's what I would recommend. If you're going to send more than maybe 5,000 to 10,000 emails a month, probably worth getting a different domain. Like for example, we email a lot of customers and we offer them different things on our customer success team does. They do a lot more like proactive outreach and whatnot to people who we think need help. And we use MailShake.co. So, we're doing this, even though we're emailing our own customers, we don't want to be having any deliverability issues. So it adds up and there's all these weird flags that can matter, but keep your email short, minimize the number of links. Again, domain is less important than your reputation as a sender.
Makes sense. Good advice. Let me see here. Joseph has a question. Let me see here. So is there advice on sending cold emails without getting your account banned or emails marked as spam? So we kind of touched base on that. Do you suggest using throwaway emails? When should you convert to using your regular email, essentially?
Yeah, I would recommend using a domain that's slightly different, like MailShake.co. If you're going to send, I would start with your main domain, and then as you scale, move the other way around.
Perfect. Awesome.
Yeah, because if you start with your main domain, you have like my email. I've been using it for like 15 years. Mm-hmm. Like it has a good sending score because I email people I know, right? So start there.
Right on, perfect. And so let me ask, as far as well, that actually brings up something. So then I guess I have another question as far as, so if it's really more on like the warming up aspect of it, let's say if you're using like a subdomain, would you need to, I mean, I guess it's really on the email itself, right? The actual email, your personal email that you're sending from needs to be warmed up, but not the actual like domain structure, architecture, or
that's less important. Yeah, I mean, that starts to matter when you get to sending millions of emails from a domain, but you shouldn't do that. You should just have a different domain, and you shouldn't send that many emails in general from a Gmail account. Like you're gonna have problems at that level. You should, if you're sending 10 million emails, you should be more specific on who you're contacting, and you'll get a lot better results by spending more time filtering the people you email and being smarter about that, and then trying to scale up the back end to support mass outreach, right? So doesn't matter. Yeah. So at scale, you get into really hairy situations, and ultimately the solution is prune your list better, build your list better. And again, there's plenty of people out there that do that. And again, I do the 3 pass-through rule. So, whoever's building it, send it to somebody else. Let them look at it. Just weed out the things that just obviously look bad. The second thing is look through it again and spot check domains and links and whatever, and just make sure that things are accurate. And then lastly, if you want to go crazy, you can do something like enrichment, where you can enrich the data and get some more information. And then just kind of, what I mean is, like, if you've got an email address and you can find their LinkedIn, just if that's what enrichment would do, or Twitter, then you can validate like if that's the right person to contact, or like maybe you got the wrong email, right? There's like, if I'm emailing Bill Gates at Microsoft, maybe B Gates is not the right email. Maybe it's Bill.Gates, or, maybe it's Billy Boy at Microsoft, right? So you don't really know. So
right. Absolutely. And so as far as like, now, what advice would you give on personalization as far as for a cold email?
So I think people personalize, in this case, people over personalize. I would say you really only need to,
you don't want it creepy. You
don't want it, like, just one or two things, 1 or 2 times in an email. You don't want to do just like a name or company. You want to do something a little bit more like are they their role, right? Or like what a problem what they would have with their role.
Makes sense.
right? So again, if you're a salesperson, we've sent this email successfully, is if you're a salesperson to recruit customers to MailShake, you're a salesperson, you're using a different software. It's like, hey, how much do you hate this thing? How much time do you spend on this inside of this as you're in your role? Like, shouldn't you love the software you use, or shouldn't you like not hate those 3 hours a day you spend on this? Come over to us. It wasn't that exact email, but something close to that.
Let's see, another question from Joseph. Do you suggest sending emails from a person or a group, i.e. Joseph at, domain.com, or info at domain.com?
Joseph, always the name of person.
Got it. Absolutely. So I think that's good. I really appreciate. I know we've gone over a little bit longer than we originally spoke about doing. So I really appreciate your time. So here comes the 90-second pitch. So this is PitchGround. So we always give the founders 90 seconds to do the pitch for the product. Now you have multiple products, so you can choose the product of your choice.
Yeah. So I'll do the pitch for MailShake. So, should I just go?
You're on the clock. Go
All
for
right.
it.
All right. I'm going. So MailShake's a tool for salespeople, marketers, and PR folks to better do outreach, right? Whether you're trying to close a deal, trying to secure a link, or secure a press mention, or get somebody featured on an article, you need to do some form of outreach. Our differentiator than the 55 or 60 companies in the space is that we're really simple. We're built for the end user, and that's tested, tried and true. We're also one of the cheapest and lowest cost solutions out there. And you don't take my word for it. You can look at you can just Google MailShake reviews, or go to our mailshake.com/testimonials page, and you'll see from my actual customers who are volunteering this information versus being forced to, like most other competitors. That's it. That's all I got.
Perfect. That's awesome. Thank you so much, Sujan. Really appreciate taking the time out of your day to do this interview and go live in front of everybody. As far as joining the group and being part of the PitchGround family, hopefully you can enjoy the content that we've got coming out here as well. And we look forward to seeing the group.
Yeah, my pleasure, and sounds good.
Perfect. And thank you everybody for joining us today. And get out there and make some money. Bye, guys.
Take care.